It's another month and another dram. Welcome to Jedi Mantis Tastes. And this month is Glenfiddich month. We are trying Glenfiddich Preoject 20, or as it is on the label, Preoject XX, but it is pronounced 20, as in Roman numerals. It is the second malt in the Glenfiddich Experimental Series, which is a series that embodies the family's philosophy of freedom and possibilities. The series pushes the boundaries and challenges traditions to create groundbreaking malts. The first release in that series was the IPA cask finished malt, and we tried that all the way back in the second ever whiskey tasting video I'd done, which I will link at the end of this video, so you can go back and check that out, see what we thought of that one. Also in there you will get the distillery background and history, as that's all covered in that video. I don't want to go over that again in every video. So I was actually wanting to do a different Glenfiddich this month. I was wanting to do the third release, which has just been released, the Winter Storm. Unfortunately, every site and shop that I use to get my whiskey is completely sold out, and there's no indication of when that's going to be available again. So I thought, done release number one, why not do release number two? Another positive for that for me this month is it is a fraction of the price of Winter Storm, which I will get when I can, but the Preoject 20 is retailing around £49, so it's a bit more affordable than the new Winter Storm. So what is Preoject 20? So as I say, it is the second release in the experimental series, and this particular expression is being experimental in that it was created by not just one whiskey expert, but as the name would suggest, 20 whiskey experts from around the world. These were invited to the Glenfiddich Distillery by Brian Kinsman, who is their master blender. He's the master blender at William Grant & Sons, he's the malt master at Glenfiddich. They were then given the freedom of a warehouse to choose any cask in that warehouse that intrigued them the most, and these final malts, 20 in total, which were matured in everything from port pipes through to virgin bourbon barrels, they were married together by Brian Kinsman to create Preoject 20. It's a whiskey that is described as being an unusual, innovative and unexpected whiskey. 20 minds, one unexpected whiskey. Reading on the back there's nothing much else other than what I've said there. It's 47% volume, it's non-chill filtered, and it is a non-age statement expression. And we're actually going to do something a little bit different, not so much in terms of the history, as I say, that's covered in another video which you can link to at the end, but we're actually going to do 3 tastings this month. We're going to do our usual tasting it with a drop of water, we're going to do it with neat, no water at all, and then inside the actual product there is these little sort of like almost matchbooks with a bit of information about the two releases. I imagine these will just get bigger and bigger as the series unfolds. So they tell you the perfect serve. So the Glenfiddich Preoject 20 method: nose the malt first, then taste it neat. You may want to add a few drops of water to open up some of the subtler flavours, which is what we do. But they then have an experiment on here, and the experiment for this one is put a single flake of sea salt on your tongue and try the whiskey again. It will heighten the taste and change your experience. So big promise there. I have a little bowl of some salt flakes there. So let's get started with it. I'm looking forward to this one. I have known about this one for a while, and it's not as easy to find as the IPA. The IPA I managed to get from Tesco. This one I've had to order through masterofmalt.com. That'll be up here, and I'll put the link in the bottom description box there as well. So we've got our standard triangular shaped tube. Nice sort of like texture to this. You've got a really simplistic design here. The simple sort of like bronzed gold stripe around here, the stag's head here, and the thumbprint, which I assume is Brian Kinsman's thumbprint. That's all in that as a sort of like a bronzed gold sort of colour. You've got the black and then the simple grey band here, which is telling you what the product is. Little bit of information on here. Inside, as I say, we get that matchbook with a bit more information about the two that were released when this was released. Inside here we have the bottle, and again the triangular bottle, the established stamp there. And again, just the thumbprint, the stag's head, the grey label. Very simplistic, very sort of like dignified labelling to the Glenfiddichs. We'll open this up. Got the stag's head on the foil top. Don't know if you can see that, but it is there. And again, on the actual lid, wooden or possibly resin, but wouldn't affect lid. Onto the cork, very small pop there, not a big pop to that, but it is corked. Just move this out of the way. So already I can get, there's a hint of that smell, and it smells quite nice. Got my in with a little bit, and I don't want a lot because I'm having 3 this time, and it is later than I normally do these. We've got the water with a bit of ice in it. We'll add a little drop of this, a little bit more because it's 47%, don't forget. So bring that in. Nice sort of like mid-strength colour there to it. Straw, sort of like wheaten gold colour. Bit thinner there, a bit lighter obviously with having the water in. Lovely sort of texture to it in there. Swirling very nice around the glass. Not cloudy. Did cloud a little bit, even because it is non-chilled filters. You could see the cloud once the water hit, but it's settling down quite nicely. We'll go in with the nose. That's identifiable right away as a Glenfiddich. As I've said, I don't really have a favourite whiskey, but Glenfiddich is definitely one of my favourite distilleries. I've not had a bad experience with any of their whiskey. It's very sort of fruity. A little bit of spice in there. Sort of berries and a bit of apple. You get the oak in there as well from the bourbon barrels. Maybe hints of vanilla with that as well. Smells like a dessert. It doesn't smell too strong. Let's have a taste. That's nice. Very mellow. Very, very easy on the tongue. Sweet. But that dies off. It's sweet at first. Got that hint of spice in there. Very deep flavour to it. It's nice. Quite a long finish to it. Quite overpowering with the oak. The oak flavour comes through. It doesn't taste like a bourbon. It tastes like a Glenfiddich. But the oak flavour there is predominant in the taste. A little bit now without. Pop that cork back in. So we can see it is darker without the water. That texture though, it's very, very silky in there. Doesn't leave much on the sides. No residue being left on the glass. It's very, very an attractive looking malt. Getting a bit more spice without the water. A bit more on the fruit side as well. Doesn't smell as sweet. Mixed fruit. A bit of pear in there as well. A little bit floral. A little bit more on the burn in the nose, but again not offensive. Let's have a taste now. Much more punchy, but very, again, deep, mellow, quite smooth. Long finish to it, still got that flavour. Certainly more on the spice, maybe like a warm spice like a cinnamon. Still got that dessert sort of taste to it. Like a toasted taste to it. That'd be a nice whiskey on a Christmas Eve, just to end, ready for the big day. So it's a whiskey to relax with, that one, as all whiskey is. But I can see myself sitting down after a busy Christmas Eve, having a glass of this just before going to bed. Nice. It's not spectacular. I was expecting a little bit more, but I'm not disappointed because it's still a very nice whiskey. There is of course one more way of trying this. So let's get a bit more into the glass. And I am only going to have a little bit, just a little bit in there, because I don't normally have the 3. And we want a nice flake. We've got a decent sized flake there. So the experiment is flake of salt on the tongue, and then drink the whiskey. I don't know whether to all in one. Give it a go. That's very different. The salt's still there, bear with me. That's strong with the salt. that is unusual. They're right. It's unusual with the salt. The flavours come out in a different way to when we have it with the water. So I had to crunch that salt. It was a bigger flake than I realised. I wouldn't say that's a way to drink it every time you have it, but in terms of exploring what the whiskey is, that's a nice little experiment, and I would recommend trying that if you do buy this whiskey. Give it a go with a bit of salt. It says specifically salt flake. I assume if you don't have salt flakes, a pinch of salt on the tongue, you would probably get the same sort of result. It plays well with the whiskey. It's leaving that lingering taste a bit more around the roof of the mouth, whereas before the lingering aftertaste was down the tongue and the back of the throat. It's now on the roof of my mouth. It is salty, but it's flavourful with the whiskey flavours, the vanilla, the oak. Almost nutty with the salt. Pleasant, very pleasant. But as I say, you wouldn't want to be having every time you have a drink, have a flake of salt. So it's a nice experiment. It's not a way of having the whiskey. I would recommend it. If anything, I would recommend it neat, as I always do. Peated whiskies, I would recommend a little bit of water, but something that's not peated, like a Glenfiddich, neat all the way for me. Yeah, so that's really strange with the salt. Never would have thought of doing that. So yeah, it's a good release. Out of the two, I would probably prefer the IPA. Which, let's have a look, because I didn't get one of these in the IPA. Let's see what the experiment is for that. So if you have the IPA, which is the previous video, the experiment for that one would be to run a twist of blood orange around the rim of your glass and then add into your glass. The orange will complement the zesty notes and showcase the sweetness of the whiskey. I haven't got any of the IPA left, otherwise I would try that. So if you do have that one, give that a go. Comment down below, let me know if that's worth doing, and if I get another bottle of that, I will try it. But yeah, it's a nice release from Glenfiddich. It is unusual. It is something a little different. That salt is a nice little trick. Nice flavours, typical sort of like flavours of Glenfiddich. Really, can't go wrong with that. It's a really top-notch distillery. As I say, I like everything they've released that I've tried. Hopefully I'll get Winter Storm soon, so that I can try that for you, and try it for myself. Let's not kid around. I like to try these things as well. So yeah, thank you for watching. A little bit shorter, I guess, than normal, but we didn't have to cover that backstory because that is in that previous video. So watch that. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Comment down below if you're going to try this, or let me know if you have tried it, what you think of it, because it has been out a little while now. Hit the subscribe button. I will be releasing videos every month for the whiskey. If I can do any gaming videos, they'll come out as and when, but mainly it's at the moment the whiskey. Next month is the big year-end video where I will be going over my top 5 whiskies that I've tried on the channel since starting this, so going all the way back to Frisky Whiskey, which I still have. I will not say whether that impacts whether that's on my chart or not, but I do still have some Frisky Whiskey. So join me for that. It'll be out in December sometime, before Christmas definitely. Probably work on that and get it out fairly sharpish in December, so keep an eye out for that. Hit the subscribe button on the next screen. That will enable it so that you don't miss that, especially if you hit that notification button. So give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Don't necessarily want to be begging for likes. And I will see you then for the top 5 whiskies of Jedi Mantis' year. Thanks for watching, everyone, and cheers.